I'm voting for the man that's going to take America back, baby. Donald J. Trump, man.
What's one of your biggest issues?
Probably going to be inflation, because I sell T-shirts and all that stuff.
Your T-shirts are made in the USA?
No, my blanks, no. See, that's the thing Trump's talking about. If we tax them, hit tariffs, the same item they're making over there will cost the same to make over here.
We pay the tariffs.
Well, the companies pay the tariffs, not us.
China doesn't pay the tariffs. We do when they come in.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Like if I'm buying 1,000 shirts from China and there's a tariff on it, I'm paying. China's not. Jolly. So I'm trying to explain.
Who pays the tariff?
They're paying the tariff.
Do you think that? Do you believe that?
I was trying to say, because I sell merch as well.
I sell you something for $10, right? You're going to sell it to him for $20.
Exactly.
But then I make you pay me $15 for it. Are you still going to sell it to him for $20?
Am I going to sell it to him for 20?
If I raise the price $5.
Oh, it's going to have to go up.
Right. So
yeah, the consumer foots the bill.
In a world flooded with political opinions, some arguments crumble when facts enter the chat. Today, we're diving into a series of debates between MAGA supporters and social media content creators who aren't afraid to challenge misinformation head-on. Watch as the talking points fall apart and the truth takes center stage.
Where's the proof that he's an MS-13?
He was convicted. He had 2 cases.
Show me where.
You know what? I don't know why you guys are defending this guy for what?
Trad, because there's no proof. You have no proof.
You should be supporting this.
Trad, you have no proof.
And Trump is keeping our country
Oh,
safe.
you know what? Here's the deal. Trad, you should be deported.
For what?
Because you're an MS-13.
What?
Yeah. I want to deport you to El Salvador.
For what? I'm
'Cause you're-
American.
No, you're an MS-13.
What the hell? Said
Yeah.
who?
Says me. I saw you meet with an MS-13 gang leader. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
What the hell?
Everybody here saw it. So because I say so, Trad, you should be deported.
Oh, it's not the same case here.
Oh.
It's actual proof.
Oh.
It's not because you say so you're going to get deported.
You will be deported.
What the hell?
You see how that doesn't make a damn lick of sense? You see how stupid it is to go and say just because someone says something that they should be deported?
Gotcha, bitch.
Trump's cabinet, there are people of color that Democrats pretend don't exist, like J.D. Vance's wife, and
J.D. Vance's wife is not in the cabinet.
No, but if J.D. Vance was a Democrat, his wife would be lauded all over everything because of her color of her skin.
Listen, I'm not here to defend the Democrats' choice on every policy, but there is one party in this country that is identitarian. There is one party that is represented and it is homogenous, and it is the Republican Party. 85% of Republicans are white. That's just the reality of it.
So does that
Some
mean
people
that?
don't necessarily have a problem with that.
But here's the thing. You said even if let's just say, okay, that's true. 80% of Republicans are white. Does that mean that they're less moral? That they can't run an effective government? What does race have to do? What does race have to do? Hold on. What does
Donald Trump didn't have to say my vice president's going to be a white male.
No.
Because they all knew it was going to be.
No, this is the premise of DEI. What does race have to do with running an effective government? What does race have to do? If let's say DEI on the micro level,
I will tell you right now.
DEI on the micro level at McDonald's.
I'll tell you.
Am I going to get better nuggets?
I'll ask you a question.
If the cashier is black or white, what does that have to do with anything?
I'll tell you what it is. First of all, DEIA means that if you come into this agency or corporation, you're not going to be discriminated against because you don't look like everybody else, or you don't have the same physical abilities as everybody else, or you may require handles on the bathroom or whatever it is. That's what DEIA does. But does it make a government better if there's a broad representation of the people it's supposed to govern? Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless of DEI, don't we already have things in our Constitution that protects people's rights, protects people?
No.
We don't?
No.
Do we or do we not?
No, we do not. Tell me what protects people from discrimination in housing and in work and hiring or getting loans. It's all statutes. It's all statutes. And in these government agencies, there was nothing except for that order. That's why Trump just rescinded it.
I'm going to tap out.
Acknowledge that people broke into the Capitol. What do you mean by break into the Capitol?
And when there's a broken window, they don't see anything wrong with walking into a building if the window's already broken.
The first people that got into the Capitol, did they break in?
Is January 6th your only reason why he's unfit?
Wait. Did the first people into the Capitol break in?
Is January 6th the only reason he's unfit?
Are you unwilling to answer that question?
Is January 6th the only reason?
Are you unwilling to answer? You can say yes, you don't want to answer it, and then move on because you know the implications are terrible for you.
We had innocent people moving into a facility that they didn't know that it was wrong because the doors were already open. So you're already.
There was broken glass on the floor.
I'm a female and you're a male, and it's almost like you're attacking me because I'm a female. Are you anti-female? Are you anti-female?
Half the time I am, okay?
Let's have a productive conversation.
No, we're not having a productive one because you're not answering any of my questions.
Keep going. Okay.
Yeah, I asked you a very simple question. The first person that got into the Capitol who wasn't allowed in, how did he get in?
They walked into the Capitol.
No, they broke in with a riot shield that he's stolen from an officer.
Okay, and that makes President Trump unfit for office.
You acknowledge that happened. Are we living in the same reality? Asking a very simple question
you
can't answer. I can answer your question if you answer my question. Do you acknowledge that he sat for 3 hours?
How do you know this?
Because it's accounted for by testimony.
Were you there?
How do you know what's happening at the border, what's happening in China? Are you there? What do you mean? I'm making this claim based on hundreds of hours of deposition testimony by people that have been in front of a number of courts in front of the J6 committee. The whole plot on January 6th was to break the law, to have Mike Pence choose him to be the president.
Because people broke into the Capitol, that can't be blamed on President Trump.
So it was a coincidence.
President Trump
Can you say that?
President Trump has always ran on law and order and for people. And yes, there were bad actors.
It was a coincidence.
But let's move to the certification.
It is insane. Do you know what 1 + 1 is?
I do.
What is 1 + 1?
I think it's 2.
Okay, good. Okay, we can answer a question.
Math is racist. Math is racist.
The first person that got into the Capitol building, how did they get in?
You were arguing that Trump is unfit.
Okay, let's try this. Do you know what 2 + 2 is?
4.
Who was the first person into the Capitol building? How did he get in? Why not just say he broke in?
Is your entire argument about January 6th yes or no?
Well, my biggest argument right now is that conservatives are delusional and they don't exist in the same reality that we do.
Why must you attack 75 million voters?
We're witnessing the rare political phenomenon known as argument drift, when the point is lost and the speaker hopes no one notices.
Obama has been arrested. You need to look at Real Raw News.
Wait.
January 13th.
Okay.
And when you read it, make sure you read it to yourself because the information in that is pretty vulgar.
Okay, so Real Raw. So what? And what was she arrested for?
Crimes against humanity and treason.
Why was Michelle Obama arrested for crimes against
humanity? Michael Robinson? Look at the article and tell me what you see. You think I'm so delulu, Chris? Pull up the article and read it. It's not fake news. You guys are gonna have a real hard time when all this shit gets exposed.
Oh, here we. Wait, this says she got sent to Gitmo.
Mm-hmm.
She got sent to Guantanamo Bay.
Yes. But please, Chris, for your live safety, don't read the article out loud because there's some vulgar things in there. You might be quite surprised. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that is not being put out for public display. But let me tell you, when it does, it's going to come over the airways as an emergency broadcasting system alert, and it's going to be very shocking, and it's going to hurt some people's feelings, and some people are going to need therapy afterwards.
Michelle Obama, aka Michael Robinson, got sent to Guantanamo Bay, and the arrest, according to the source, took place on January 13th. And they interrupted her doing paraphernalia with Barack Obama. Robinson twisted worlds. Hold on. The special forces, quote, twisted world spiraled, performing some interpretive dance, antagonizing the soldiers General Smith had sent to arrest him. Quote, none of you will live to tell, you're disposable. Dude, this is a fan fiction story.
Oh man, I really, really hope that when all this comes down to light and it comes over the phones and the airways, I really hope they can't just write something like that for parody and humor, you guys. That would be defamation. That's a huge freaking lawsuit. So let's have some common sense here.
Wait, ma'am. I'm on realrawnews.com. I went to About Us. It says the second thing, disclaimer. Information on this website is for informational and educational and entertainment purposes in bold letters. Quote, this website contains humor, parody, and satire.
I don't find anything humorous about that article.
Let's pause right here. Notice how the argument just did a backflip, landed on no facts, and still expected a standing ovation? This is what happens when you bring vibes to a facts fight. You got to come with more than slogans and what-ifs.
You think you got all this knowledge packed into your brain. I just need a logical explanation. It doesn't have to be long, but I just need a logical explanation for why every court just keeps goddamn disagreeing with you every time this issue gets raised.
No, they're not. The 9-0
Tell me which one.
The 9-0 decision that the Supreme Court just handed down gave Trump the victory, contrary to the pretty much contradictory narrative you're hearing from fake news media.
Oh, yeah?
That's a victory.
Tell me what the decision was. Tell me what the decision was.
The decision was that they don't have to bring him back, that they just have to facilitate it, which means that if El Salvador agrees to bring him back, that they would facilitate it, which means to provide the transportation. But that doesn't say that they have to bring him back, that it's on the Trump administration to bring him back.
Did the Supreme Court say that, or are you interpreting that from the word facilitate?
That's what it means. I got into an argument with someone earlier today, and I dog walked them, and they had to kick me out of the live.
I guess I'll ask you again. Is that from your own interpretation, or did they say that?
Let me ask you something.
No, you're going to answer my question before we move on. Is that your interpretation, or did they say everything you just said in the order?
That's what is coming out of the Trump administration, their spokesperson, and there has been no pushback. Has there been any pushback from the legal team for Garcia on that? No.
Yes, a lot.
No, there hasn't. So let me explain something.
Hold on. No, you're not going to lie on my stream and then move on. No. We're not moving off that point until it's settled. No, stop. We're not moving off that point. We're not moving off of that. You don't just get to come in here and lie and then we just walk away from the lie. Okay. You just said there's been no pushback from Garcia's legal team. Garcia's legal team has filed a motion to hold the government in contempt because of what you just said. Because they're not doing shit.
Dispute what? Do you know? Let me explain something to you about this. Do you know that the Democrat operative in the DOJ that said they mistakenly deported him? He was fired. He was a plant in there. He was not authorized to say that. So that's not even true that he was mistakenly deported. That's a fake news narrative, by the way. Because
so your interpretation of them firing the DOJ lawyer that's admitted to that it was a mistake is that he was a plant, not that he did something that pissed off Trump and they fired him for that.
Exactly. Why would you say that it wasn't a mistake?
Because as a lawyer, as a bar licensed attorney, if the judge asks you a direct question, you don't get to lie. You have to tell the truth.
Okay, so he didn't lie saying, yeah, we deported him by mistake. Of course he lied. That's why he was fired. He didn't have any authorization to make that statement. He made that on his own as a Democrat operative. That's why he was fired. That's what deep staters are. Do you understand what deep staters are? They're unelected bureaucrats that sit in there and do not carry out the agenda of the president that's been elected.
If a judge asks you, why was this man deported? And you know that he had a withholding from removal order. You know that for a fact.
No,
you don't have a choice.
He had a final deport order. He was deported.
No, he had withholding from removal to El Salvador.
He did not have withholding status, dude. That's the difference. You have to understand.
He had withholding from removal to El Salvador.
Terrorists do not.
He had withholding from removal to El Salvador.
Are you familiar with affirmative action?
Yeah.
What's affirmative action?
It's like something that is actually, you can actually tell has been done.
Something you can actually tell has been done. Can we go a little bit like that? That you literally could have described everything, every adjective ever. I think.
I'm not a Webster dictionary or anything, but
I didn't. There should be an Webster's dictionary. I asked you to tell me what affirmative action was. You said you knew.
Yeah, it's affirming that an action was been done. You can affirm that.
I'm sorry. I just realized what you were telling me. I didn't catch it. Like you said it the first time, but I didn't catch what I just didn't catch it. Okay? And now I caught it, and so now it's audibly funny to me. You think affirmative action is someone doing an action and then affirming that it happened?
No.
Because that's what you just said.
No. So
that's exactly what you just said, though.
Your boss gives you a task, okay? And your boss would know whenever you complete that task by a certain action being done, right? So your boss says, sell this car for $45,000, When $45,000 touches your boss's bank account, that's the affirmative action that he knows that you did your part and sold that vehicle.
Let me put this on the right.
I get it, bro. But yeah, dude, I gave up on this,
You a flat earther? Yeah, I am actually, and I believe it. Can you prove it wrong? NASA couldn't prove the Earth was round in 75 years.
Dude, they exist.
No photo.
Dude, unbelievable, chat. Unbelievable. How did I know it? How did I know it, dude? That's actually such like a insane take that like I have to address this.
Dude, I love talking to you, man.
Of course. Did you know that you could be in New York and you can watch the sunset? You can go up the skyscraper to the top of the building and watch the sunset again. Can you please explain to me under your worldview how that can happen?
Well, you're at two different elevations, man. I mean, that's very simple. And when you're on a flat Earth, the sun, it might seem like it's gone, but if you get a high-powered telescope, you can still see the sun. It's just like you see Chicago on the other side of Lake Michigan.
No, you can't. You can actually, with a high-powered telescope, see the sun literally go past the horizon. But that's what happens with telescopes.
Look, 60 miles away, you're in Chicago. You could see the whole Chicago skyline.
This take, you're not even understanding refraction. You know that people who are flat earthers were literally sent to this area, right, to test this?
The reason why The Boy Who Cried Wolf is such a popular fucking story. There's a reason why it is something that for hundreds, if not thousands of years, people have repeated. It's because people don't like being gaslit and freaked out about something that's not actually happening just because you've escalated language enough to make people take you more seriously than what you would otherwise deserve.
I also fully reject this argument because it's not applied evenly. Like, people will say this on the conservative side, well, we didn't believe you said, okay, well, how? All right, we had 8 years of Barack Obama. Where's my communism? Okay, I was promised communism for 8 years by Rush Limbaugh. Where is it? It didn't happen. And then we got 4 years of Joe Biden. Where's my communism? I thought we were supposed to be communist now. Did it not happen? If Kamala wins and we get 4 more years of a Democrat president, is that going to be communism? Where's the communism at, right? Like, why do the Republican actions never have consequences? It's only the Democrats that are supposed to be like, be responsible with your rhetoric. Stop calling everybody a Nazi. You commie. Okay, fine. Be responsible with your rhetoric. Stop making unhinged comments about victims of violence at rallies. Okay, by the way, how's Paul doing? Has he got in the eye socket anymore by a gay dude with a hammer? LOL. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, there's no end. Like, you guys need to turn down the rhetoric. And by the way, the Democrats are trying to steal every single election and rig everything. And they're trying to inject poison into your veins. And they're trying to cut off the penises of every single boy that they're turning into women as the Muslims and the Jews both simultaneously invade our country in order to make it so that white people can't have positions of power anymore. And that's why we're cut out to things like Israel and the World Economic Forum. And George Soros is coming after us and all. And it's like, dude.
Xi Jinping. Hamas has said that they want to end the war immediately. I know one of the talking points that you all had before the election was that the world would be less safe with the Trump presidency. But now we're starting to see our adversaries are making phone calls, A, congratulating the president, and B, saying, hey, let's have conversations, let's talk. So I'm curious, you know, if Trump is this guy that allows people to run all over however they see fit, why are all these world powers calling Trump, and why are people asking to come to the table and have conversations about fixing problem X, Y, and Z?
So that happens literally anytime anybody's elected in the United States. When anybody's elected president, after their election, they talk to world leaders around the country. This happened in 2020 with Biden, in 2016 with Trump, in 2012 with Obama, in 2008 with Obama, and so on and so forth. This happens every single election. And also, Hamas has been calling for a ceasefire for quite some time now. This is not because Trump got elected. They've been saying that they want to end the war for a very long time now. Russia hasn't suddenly said that they want negotiations, they want to end the war. Back in September, before the election obviously even happened, they were saying that they want to negotiate. But this is just Putin being Putin. He's full of shit. So when Putin says something, it's probably best not to believe him, because there's obviously no efforts to actually get the war done. So there's nothing in the past couple of days that's happened that's been out of the ordinary, and because of Trump's election. Matter of fact, I'd argue that Trump has even already broken a promise.
What does Doge do to inhibit cost of living?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Doge is going to do, the Department of Government Efficiency, is slash a lot of the federal spending, right? So what happens when the feds...
What spending is going to get cut?
So I'm getting there. 1 second, sir. So what's going to happen is the Department of Government Efficiency is going to slash a lot of federal spending. What happens is the government, Republicans, Democrats alike, spend a bunch of money that, excuse my language, but it's nonsense, right? They spend it out here, they spend it out there.
Be more specific. Here or there. Are you talking about cutting defense? Because they're not going to cut defense.
Well, for example,
wait a second.
Well, no. Let me finish. Okay. $175 billion to Ukraine, first and foremost. That was a bunch of nonsense. So we're going to talk about that, but we also have a bunch of other things in the Defense Department, as well as a bunch of DEI departments.
Well, they're not touching, first of all, there are no DEI departments.
That's completely false.
Listen. Defense spending is not going to be touched by Doge.
Wrong.
And when you talk about the government, what's the biggest expenditure government has?
Our military and Social Security are our top two.
And Medicare and Medicaid, right? Now, they're not going to touch the military. Are they going to cut Social Security? You think that's going to?
You're asking me like I'm part of Doge.
No. Well, you're telling me that Doge is going to help everybody here, and I'm telling you, if they cut Social Security, everybody in here is going to get hit. Because these folks are going to have to pay for their parents because Social Security keeps 2/3 of our elderly out of poverty. So tell me what they're going to cut that's going to make it easier for Americans.
I already did.
What?
I told you the $175 billion that we've sent to Ukraine.
By what measure? Do I think he did win or do I think he should have won?
Do you think he should have won?
I mean, yes, I'm happy that he won. If the question is, am I happy that he won? I'm happy that he won.
Okay. Well, I'd say that Trump won 2016 because...
By the way, I did not vote for either candidate in 2016. That's a decision made in retrospect.
Awesome. So I think that Trump won 2016 because of a modality of DEI. Essentially, what I'd say is the Electoral College, right, strives for inclusion of smaller states with lower populations by overrepresenting them in the overall vote. Over the last 25 to 30 years, Republicans have won the presidency given the Electoral College, not given the overall popular vote. So if you're against DEI, if you don't want inclusion on the basis of race, inclusion on the basis of gender, or even what you're saying earlier, we could even say inclusion on the basis of class, why do you want inclusion on the basis of population, rural areas, states,
We should actually use a better example. Why don't you just ask if I believe in the U.S. Senate?
Right? The U.S. Senate, this would also apply to the U.S. Senate.
Right, okay, so let's use the U.S. Senate because the U.S. Senate is actually even more unrepresentative of the general population than the Electoral College. Is that a form of DEI? That seems like a stretch to me. What? The kind of DEI that I'm talking about specifically would be separating human beings based on inherent characteristics, like, for example, race, as opposed to suggesting that the United States Senate, which is obviously unrepresentative of the general population,
well, seemingly my point is
that that's a check and balance, right?
Well, seemingly my point is that this is another modality of DEI. I've no problem with you explaining to me, right, why the Senate or the Electoral College would be given the U.S. Constitution and some contractual agreement that they had between the sovereign states. That's fine. But what I'd say is that your claim here would just imply that the Constitution upholds DEI within our electoral processes.
If your claim is
so, do you think that the Constitution upholds DEI in the sense of including smaller states with less representative populations?
That is a true stretch of the meaning of DEI, but I get your point. I mean, if the idea is that the only thing that is not pure DEI in a democratic context would be sort of popularly represented votes, then I think you can make the case that basically you should get rid of every representative institution. We should go to a pure democracy because...
Well, I'm not making a case for what we should replace it with. I'm making the case that it would uphold DEI. We could talk about, right, what other systems should function in the case of the Electoral College or in the case of the Senate, but that's a completely different conversation than are these systems upholding DEI.
So at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but not their own facts. Debating with MAGA defenders can feel like trying to load a web page with dial-up. Slow, noisy, and it's never the page you asked for. If you got thoughts on any of the topics, I'd love to hear them. Drop a comment below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you want to know who any of these amazing content creators are, check the description of the video or ask in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other videos to avoid the dangers of political misinformation. It's a great library of info and has some really valuable insights. Thanks again. We see you.